Hello and welcome to 5 Minutes with the Family. I'm Fukui Drew, and today I'd like to honor the late, great voice actress Nobuo Oyama, the legendary voice behind the beloved cat from the future, Doraemon. But, full disclosure, she actually had nothing to do with the game Doraemon Nobita no Yosei no Kuni on the Super Famicom. Still, her impact on children's anime culture is so big that I just have to say thank you. If not for me, as a US Saturday morning cartoon kind of guy, then definitely for my 4 kids. For those who grew up in Japan, Doraemon and his gang, Nobita, Shizuka, Giant, and Snail, are as iconic as rice balls, Buddhist temples, and those weird seasonal Kit Kats that tourists lose their minds over. Doraemon has been a friend to all children for 55 years, even the nerdy awkward ones like Nobita and myself. Like Nobita. He's the friend they can count on, and who is there for them literally every day through syndicated reruns. Now, as far as the game is concerned, it was released in 1993. It was the first of 4 Doraemon games on the Super Famicom, but actually the 5th overall, coming after a pair of, let's just be nice and say mediocre NES games and 2 really fun Game Boy games. I can totally see kids in the early 90s freaking out over this one. It lets you walk around Doraemon and Nobita's neighborhood and see places made famous in the anime. There's the park where the kids hang out, the giant tree up on the hill, and Nobita's home, complete with his iconic upstairs bedroom. It's an open world game, though don't expect GTA levels of interaction. Though, now that I think about it, a GTA style Doraemon game? What would that even look like? The open world vibe kicks it up a notch when you strap on the famous Takecopter and soar above the city, which switches from a 2D perspective to a semi-3D one. It's a very cool effect, but sadly, if you know where you're going, this awesome feature will last, about 10 seconds. They really should have leaned into this mechanic more though, because the effect is killer. In fact, it's the weak use of Doraemon's crazy inventions that is the game's biggest letdown. For a robot cat from the future with dozens of fan-favorite gadgets, you would expect more interaction with his cool toys. You do get iconic inventions like the small light, restoration ray, and the almighty pass, but in the context of a jump and run platformer, they're basically just keys to unlock new areas. No real hands-on fun. This was a big gripe for reviewers back in the day, and it's still a problem today. But let's not be too harsh. The game does plenty of things right. Exploration is fun, especially if you're a Doraemon fan. And the graphics, adorable. Seriously, look at these character sprites. Just when you think you found the cutest one, this one, another one pops up, like this one. Even as a 44-year-old American, I'm charmed. And it's packed with content. 27 levels, 6 boss battles, the final one has 5 different forms. It's amazing. The game's not too time-consuming either. I beat it in about 3 hours on the harder difficulty. I would have been faster, but the game makes you talk to people throughout the town to unlock levels. If you miss someone, you're stuck searching. Trust me, I spent 30 minutes desperately trying to find just one character. This character, here, hiding in this house. I hate them. And this fountain. Put that aside. The levels are well animated, although sometimes they don't match the locations on the overworld map, which can be a little bit disorienting. Not as jarring as the title though. Doraemon, Nobita and the Land of Fairies. Nobita doesn't show up until the last quarter of the game. Even still, I'm not that mad, not only because Nobita is my least favorite character, I'm a Dekisugi fan through and through, but because it's here in this final chapter that the game truly shines. The open world stuff takes a backseat and the core platforming kicks in. The story and gameplay really come together in this final stretch. I love how characters hesitate before charging into danger, scared of being alone. But when you select them again, they find the courage to push on. It's a surprisingly touching moment that feels right out of a Doraemon movie. By this point, you've got 5 playable characters, all beautifully animated, facing off against bosses that test your skills. Now, each boss has a weakness to a specific weapon, kind of like Mega Man, though the game isn't as strict about which order you tackle things in. Though, that being said, do Shizuka's level first and grab the heat-seeking gun. Trust me, it'll make later bosses much easier. The game's not too hard to follow, even if you don't know Japanese. Just talk to everyone you can find, and when you hear a chime, check your map for new areas you can access. Easy. I also love the soundtrack. The composers, Ogawa Hisami, Kutsukake Takashi, and Matsushima Tomoko, did a fantastic job. It's been a while since I've heard such a solid soundtrack on the Super Famicom. Of course, the Doraemon theme is here, but thankfully it's not overdone or overused. The real standouts are Jet's stage and the final stage BGM. Here, take a listen. all in all, Doraemon, Nobita and the Land of Fairies is a great game. Despite critics nitpicking its faults, the controls are solid, the soundtrack is great, and the levels are fun and engaging. That's what matters in a platformer, even if finding those levels takes a little bit of patience. I give the game an 80 out of 100 and a solid recommendation for both fans and non-fans alike. As for my copy, I bought it loose out of the box with some discoloration on the cartridge. I probably shouldn't have, but it was only 700 yen and I was already ringing it up before I realized it. I'm glad I did though, the sooner I played it the better. Anyway, thanks for watching, and remember, in life as in games, be a hero, select your goals, and start your adventure. This has been 5FF. Take care.